What a day. How you feeling, guys? Woo! So it has been a great day. Thank God we had a great sun, and also abundance is coming with the rain. So thank you, life, for giving us that today. So one of the things that I love is to have people that has been like great leaders around the world. Please, please, please. Shh. Everyone, sit down or go out, please. Everyone, if you want to sit down or you go out of the stage, thank you. Sorry about that. So, how you feel to be here? So I want to ask something. I always love to start with something with the heart. And that is, I want to ask, they didn't have this before when we talked about, so they're nervous. What makes you, what are your three, what are one failure that you want to share to us today? Failure. Okay. Lorena, please, the first one.
Yeah, they're on.
Hi, everybody. Super excited to be here, and thank you, Janma, for the invitation. A failure for me is trying to change the world and not having help enough to be sure that I will sustain myself. So for all of us that work in impact and changing life, we give a lot of ourselves. And there are moments that I have been living of burnout that I want to really get back into the right path. So I think that the balance of health and changing the world is one of the failures that I would change.
Gracias, Lorena. Thank you for that. A big applause for that. It's not easy to say that in stage. Gracias. Michelle.
Wow, where do I begin? I'll tell you the one business failure I had is with a consulting company I started. I wanted to do one thing, my partner wanted to do something very different, and we couldn't find a way to align ourselves and align how to practically and tactically move forward because our views of the future were so different. And so we split and went and did different things in business, but it was definitely a failure, and it took me a while to recover from that.
Gracias, Michelle. Thank you. Tell me, Mitchell.
Which one of these is not like the others? I think venture capital is the most fun you can have with your clothes on. You know, it's the first, you are having a chance to see the future. I get a chance to see what's going to be coming to market 4 years from now. So I get to see the future. I get to see what people are working on that will eventually get commercialized. And this is just a great way to make bets on things that you have a chance to help bring to market by making those bets on the things that are in your areas of focus or the things that you care about. So it's just it's a great way to help in a very odd kind of way, which is placing bets with other people's money and then returning that to them if you're right.
Gracias. That's a great answer also. Wow, thank you. So today we're talking about global leadership. And in a globalized business development environment, how can leaders effectively navigate and adapt to different cultural mindsets while maintaining a cohesive organizational culture? Can you share a practical example from your experience? Michelle, you want to start?
So I spend a lot of time thinking about how to get people to find the best version of themselves. And so I spent a lot of time training entrepreneurs and mentors and angel investors all around the world. So I've been to 70 countries and I've worked in like 65 of them now. And the most recent example I can share is something I did 2 weeks ago with a bunch of Brazilians that came to Silicon Valley. And I gave a short talk about the Silicon Valley, and I said, whatever you learn here this week, make sure you write it down and share it with the rest of your team, because our job really is to empower other people. And we empower people, or we feel empowered when we learn new things. We feel empowered when we're pushed to be a different version of ourselves. And so this was 2 weeks ago with a group of like 150 Brazilians in Silicon Valley. And one of them said, I took your advice, I went back and I gave kind of a laundry list of all the things I learned with my team, and then asked them, you know, how can we be different? How can we be better? How can we innovate? And they came up with 27 different ideas, and we're going to implement 3 of them in the next 90 days. And so that was within the last 2 weeks, just helping that individual understand that his role is to help other people learn so they can be the best version of themselves. So that was pretty recent for me.
Wow. Wow, that's a great one. Lorena?
Well, thinking about this, I think that there are invisible boundaries in the culture and in global business. And I think that the first experience that I had with this was over 20 years ago, when I was invited to collaborate in the Financing for Development Summit of United Nations. I was assistant of Kofi Annan and of the director of protocol. So do you people hear?
Wow. Can you hear? Everyone? You can hear?
Okay. Okay, super. Okay. Not that much. It's hard to compete with rain, but coming from one of the cities that is suffering the largest drought in its history, where I need to take a shower with buckets of water, this is really a gift.
It's abundance. It's abundance. So give it a...
So,
rocket it.
rocket. So I was saying, just in case you can hear me, I got a call. I was asked to answer the calls of the director of protocol of the UN summit. And I got this call from a person asking for a boardroom for his president to have a meeting. So for me it was really easy. I am Mexican, we'll find a way. We go, you know, like, I don't know, more into relationship way of deciding things. But when I came with the protocol director, she was Egyptian, educated in Switzerland, working for 30 years in UN, and the approach was completely different. Long story short, I realized that the Egyptian communicated in low context, working with a hierarchy way, based on principles, while I was leading with the other person that called me, who was Cuban, with high context communication, working in relationship-based, more than task-based, and more applications-based, more than principle-based. So he needed to find a way to make things happen. The other one was super structured. End of story. The meeting that we were putting together was this meeting with Fidel Castro and Kofi Annan. It was a great experience of cultural map. And by the way, I totally recommend a book that is called The Culture Map from Professor Erin Meyers. And it's a fantastic book to understand and to find tools to approach these cultural differences that usually we are not educated on how to approach difference of cultures, and sometimes we believe that it's just personality issues or differences getting into the way.
Wow, that's a great one. Give a great applause there, please. Wow. Bueno, Michelle, you have it tough.
I think the universe is trying to drown me out.
Yeah, maybe you have to
Notice it's getting
put it
louder
there.
as it gets closer to me talking.
And those of us that live in California are like, it's raining, how
Yes,
wonderful.
it's amazing.
You brought the rain. You brought the rain.
You know, as I travel around, and I do a lot of coaching, a lot of mentoring, especially out of the country, and one of the things that I try to do, sorry about that, one of the things I try to do is make sure that when companies are coming to the US, they understand the shortcut, the way that Silicon Valley wants to hear the stories. I think very often the local VCs want to hear things one way, but the Silicon Valley VCs want to hear it a completely different way. And that particular set of demonstrations, talks, this pitch deck that they ask for is very specific. And if you don't follow that particular format, then they kind of like not listen to you. And you can fix that very easily by following that shortcut. So spending a lot of time with early stage companies to understand, one, how to talk to large companies and put it into the form that they want to hear things in, and then understanding what VCs want in Silicon Valley in this center of innovation. They have a very specific way they want to hear things, and they listen for key words. So they'll look at their phones, and they won't pay attention to you until they hear those key words, and they look up when they hear what they want to hear, and then they'll listen to your particular speech. So making sure that it's not buzzword compliant, but you're speaking in a way that they want to hear is something that I try to express, try to get across, so you're not wasting your time as you try to go global. And going global is a very, very difficult thing to do. Going global, everything from establishing a nexus, trying to get funding, trying to establish yourself. I guess this is just not going to work. But come on, more. Let's throw more water on me. But I think it's important that as you're working with the venture capitalist people, both in corporate and non-corporate, that you follow. And if I am wrong, it'll strike me down.
So I'm hearing from you cultural adaptation, mindset. What do you think? We were talking, we had a call before this panel, and I love when you said that every culture has a different pace. And the different pace of Silicon Valley, Israel, Latin America, Europe is totally different. Maybe you can tell us a personal story that has happened before on that sense. Mitchell, you're gonna go first. I love your story when you told me, so you're gonna share with the group.
Which one of those was I telling you? Good judgment comes from bad experiences. I've had a few. I think some of the experiences that I've had, Silicon Valley expects you to be on time. I know that sounds strange, but you know, if I go to Israel, I would like them to be on time, but they're not going to be on time no matter what I do. So I have to build in some flex to make sure that I'm going to be on time for the next thing. I have people that are very passionate about what they want to talk about. And their passion may not be equivalent to what my passion is. So how do I get them to tell me the nuts and bolts of what I want to know without them being angry at me when I'm not as passionate about their area? Now, one of those examples would be they want to tell me the story about their startup, and it's not in my area of focus. One of the big mistakes that startups make is they want to tell you the elevator speech, even if it has nothing to do with what I'm interested in. So consistently, out of the country, they will kind of just dump this story on you. You have an investor badge, you must want to listen to my story, right? Good startups will actually find out a little bit about that investor first, and then decide whether it's the way to use the time or not. But as I leave the country, it seems that no matter what it is, it could be a dog walking app. HP's not going to be interested in a dog walking app, but they're going to want to be very passionate about telling me about their dog walking app. So I think that finding ways to be compatible with the person that you're talking to about the subject matter they care about is a good use of both of your time.
I love it. Lorena, what do you think about that?
I think that in a way, we need to promote or to recognize ourselves as failure-tolerant leaders, to make people understand that failure is not opposite of success, but complementary of success, and to reduce the anxiety of people of failing, you know? Which doesn't mean to be tolerant to mediocrity, which is the other extreme. But I think that is something that we need to pursue. Another thing is that I believe that trust comes before love. So in order to love an organization, a partnership, you need to really build trust, to be rigorous in accountability, in the way that you are measuring metrics, but also in the way that you are promoting the right dialogues for the partners and the people to get together and discuss their real points. And then to understand what is the setting for collaboration. Is it based on power, or in culture, or in leadership, or in management? And find a way to get an approach for that collaboration, to understanding that organizations and projects have different cycles. So one project might be requiring managerial tools and the ability, and I think that an important thing is we need to have the ability to understand which is the cooperation tool that we need to put into the process. So one project that requires more metrics systems might move to create incentives for people, and another project with the same organization can be more into the cultural part, working more in how to reinforce values of the process that we are having with organizations. So I think that understanding not only that we need to promote cooperation and collaboration, but that we need to have the ability to assess the situation of collaboration that each project and organization is facing.
We always say here in Volcano that the key of disruption is collaboration. And that's one of the things that main things that happens to us in the DNA of Volcano. Michelle, can you tell us what do you think about the culture, how the paces of different countries, in a personal project that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I would say that, I've met lots of high-powered people that run governments and countries and things like that, and they all say, we want to copy and paste Silicon Valley. And I say, don't even try. It's not possible, because you need to build upon your own country, your own culture, your own rhythms of business, your own religious practices, your own language, your different ethnic groups. And it's like everybody buys and sells in every country, so you can build upon what's already there and take that to the next level. But Silicon Valley is a huge anomaly. There's no other place in the world that operates at the pace that we do, with the level of FOMO that we have, fear of missing out, the level of anxiety if we don't reply within 24 hours. There's so many things in the Silicon Valley culture, in addition to so many immigrant founders from so many different places in the world. So I always tell people, build upon what you have, because what you have works. Figure out what elements from other parts of the world you want to bring into it. bring in experts or trainers or money or whatever it is from other parts of the world, but with the intention of building upon the goodness that's already here.
I loved when you told me a story also when you're going to Mexico more and more, you were like, I don't understand how to do business here.
The more I go to Mexico,
maybe
the
you can
menos
tell
lo
us.
entiende.
Maybe you can tell us this.
Yeah, I've been going to Mexico for a long time, and I've been going to Brazil for a long time. I would say I've been to Brazil 15 times and Mexico probably 20, 25 times. And the more that I go to Mexico, the less I understand, because it's just the deeper you get into the culture, the factors, the money, the people, the families in power, all these different things, the less it's clear to me how to make it all work. But it does function, and it functions very well. But that's always been my experience in Mexico.
That's a very valid. What do you think about that, Lorena?
We are like a salsa. Different flavors, all spicy.
Se pica mucho, se pica menos.
Exactly.
Yeah, and for me, Latin America is a blind spot. I've been spending a lot of time in Asia, and what is coming out of Latin America now is more sophisticated. It's broader than what we've seen for a long time. One of the reasons that you've talked me into coming is to find out how many of the things that maybe HP wasn't paying attention to is now available to us at early stage. So having that ability to see what's coming that we never thought would be coming from this area before was very, very important, which is why I've showed up, why I want to network with the VCs here, why I want to discover what's in the networking tents.
Gracias. We need to start to wrapping up. It's an amazing talk with you guys because I'm very pleased and I admire everyone here, your work. If you could give us 2 tips from your personal experience to become great global leaders on a personal and professional level, what will you share with us?
2 tips. First, everything that you do is a confidence building exercise. Whether it's a pitch deck, whether it's introductions. So if what you're doing is not building confidence with the person, then that relationship will fail either with personally or business. So make sure that everything you assert, everything that you say is backed up and makes sense to the person that you're talking to. Right?
Gracias. A big applause for Michelle. Michelle.
Yeah, I would say 2 things. Start from wherever you are because it's the right spot to start. Don't try to project yourself into somewhere that you're not. And the second thing is, the one thing I've learned all around the world is that Silicon Valley starts from a position of trust when we first meet someone, rather than a position of desconfianza, distrust. And I would say that that's the most important thing I can tell you. Start from a position of trust when you meet someone for the very first time, because it's more fun and it goes a hell of a lot faster and it's a lot more interesting. So start from a position of trust.
Gracias. Great one. I love that. I love that. The trust is important, guys. You need to trust each other, share your stories, and be inspiring, inspire everyone, because that's the things that we need to do here. So thank you, Michelle. Lorena, wrap it up.
Thank you. So for my side, I would say have a bet on dialogues, because dialogue opens doors. And for conversation 1, if there is an unresolved solution, comes conversation 2 or conversation 3 or conversation N. And you are able to open possibilities with that. Some of the times, some possibilities that you weren't aware of them. Second, be true to yourself and be impeccable on building trust. Wherever you are, build trust. That is the best currency that we can leave to the world, in a world that is missing hope and that requires leadership from all the sectors working together. And trust is the enable of that change that we are pursuing. And third, be true to yourself in a way that be sure that your purpose is connected with what you are doing. And I recommend to do journaling once a year at least to connect with the inner self, because the quality of the interventions are proportionally directly to the quality of the interventor. So be a great leader wherever you are, and let's go for the world that we dream.
Gracias. Wow, that's an amazing thing. Big applause for them, and thank you for everyone here.